Hello, so this is a request video. I'm going to be talking about Aquarius Sun with a Scorpio rising. I know my hair is a little crazy, so just bear with me. So with this combination, you are going to have a bit of a struggle because, it depends, of course, on where your sun is placed and where Aquarius rules. Because Scorpio is in the first house, I would assume it's probably in your fourth house or somewhere around there. It could be in your third or your fifth, depending on if you have an interception. But basically, your sun is going to have. Wow, there's a lawnmower. A really desperate need and passion to connect with other people. And your Scorpio rising is going to make that difficult for you. Scorpio and Aquarius don't really mix very well. They're both fixed signs, so they tend to square each other. And Aquarius is very much like, I accept all people. I want to get to know every single one. And that is what you feel on an ego level and an identity level. Like, you want to reflect on yourself as someone that is super open and accepting and can really make connections with anyone. But your Scorpio rising doesn't really let that happen. And so it's probably going to frustrate you until you learn to see the positives of that. Scorpio risings they'll attract the wrong people sometimes, but for the most part, it will keep you safe, and it will keep the wrong people from getting through that barrier. So you can totally still make a bazillion connections if you want, but it's going to take more time than it would if you had, say, a Gemini rising or something. You're not going to be able to just link up with every person that you meet, which you might want to feel like you can do. Scorpio rising is sort of like a heavy filter. If you think about the way that cells are structured, how there's a cell wall and only certain things can permeate it based off of codes and vibrations, that's kind of how Scorpio rising works. It's like this osmotic field that, like, yes, things can get through it, but it can be hard when it needs to be. So it's gonna be sort of a painful process for you to kind of filter through and get the right people in your life until you feel like your sun is satisfied. Especially if it's in your fourth house, you know, your family is going to be the one that can get in that core, but anyone else you meet might have a hard time meeting you there, without going kind of through a rigorous tests that Scorpio likes to throw at it. But you're incredibly intelligent. You might, because of this combination, come off as someone that can be kind of cold and detached. But it's not so much that, it's just that you're incredibly professional about things and you're very respectful of other people's boundaries because you know how important it is to pay attention to that kind of thing and how other people can affect each other. Like, because of this combination, from the sun sign, you have a really unique ability to understand how to navigate social situations, and the vibes that people are giving off in like a real true way, something that's not really colored by anything else. And your Scorpio rising is able to see into people's darkness but not necessarily mess with it. So you're going to give people quite a lot of space. So it's not really that you're cold or aloof, and you could just be kind of way back here when approaching somebody, especially for the first time, which isn't necessarily natural for a lot of Aquarius suns. So that can be part of the whole thing where you feel conflicted in your ability to fully socialize. And the sun isn't, is sort of in its fall in Aquarius anyway. While it's a very beautiful placement, it struggles, I feel, to get itself fully out there because the sun wants to be an individual and be an ego identity, and Aquarius wants to be everyone and everything. So it can be difficult for you to kind of get lost in this sometimes. And because of your rising, you can't always get that reflected to you from other people in terms of your identity, because you've got kind of this shroud of darkness that people don't always want to penetrate and get to know you. But when they do, you're incredibly intelligent, and you're very caring and very generous, very loyal, very trusting. It's just that you want to, but you can't give these things to everyone immediately, because you will get hurt and you'll get taken advantage of, and your combination's definitely not going to let that happen. It has got your back in a way, so you don't really have to worry about people fucking with you, because you know how to cut somebody out. You know how to stop that bullshit for the most part. Excuse my language, but let me see. You can get kind of frustrated with people that aren't socially aware, like people that are racist or homophobic or transphobic or just stupid about the choices that they make and aren't really paying attention and all these things. That can really piss you off. And you kind of confront people about it for the most part, because your Aquarius sun, Aquarius can kind of see everything that's going wrong, and it bothers them on a really human level. They can get really frustrated with kind of the pace and the current status of where we are as a society. But Scorpio will take it a step farther. Your rising sign's gonna hear that from your sun and be like, yeah, you're right. Like, I got you. Let's fuck this person up. And you might just like really tell it how it is, a lot of the time, which isn't a bad thing, but you could come off as a little bit mean and aggressive. But usually in your head, it's okay, because the people are really not acting very well. And I think that call out culture is important right now. So embrace it, but just be aware of the fact that you can really hurt people. Um, and that's not really a positive or a negative thing. It's just something to be conscious of. Um, you've got this like really mysterious vibe to you. You want to understand the workings behind everything, because Scorpio is incredibly observant and Aquarius is the teacher, and it kind of absorbs everything from around it and fits it all together in this very intellectual realization kind of a realm. So with those things together, you're definitely like a people watcher. You definitely learn from everyone, and you can see things that other people can't see, and you've got this really innate ability to just tap into the universe in a very special and unique way that just really encompasses a large portion of your personality, because your sun sign and your rising sign, of course, both come together to some degree to form your ego identity. So you've got this very like mysterious, dark, knowledgeable kind of thing about you. And because of the Scorpio influence, you're probably really interested in more esoteric things. More, and then Aquarius likes to be innovative and different and inspiring. So you seek out people that are different, that have a creative take on things, that really get to the depth of issues, that have like a fresh spin. Like, you find that really interesting. You're probably a really curious person that is constantly trying to dig deeper and understand more about life and reality and what everything means. And you probably like to bring these things up and talk about them, because Scorpio risings can't hide in a way. Like, you might be mysterious because you're working on things in your own head, but you're very open about everything that you believe and everything that you want to talk about. You don't really have the ability to hide it like that. So you kind of bring everything to light, even if they're really hard topics, really hard conversations that we need to be having right now. You know how to start those with other people, and it can be incredibly inspiring, and you probably have really life-changing qualities and potentials that maybe you're not fully aware of, but the words that you say have quite a lot of importance, and they can weigh really heavily with people. So Yeah, you're a really wise person, probably more of an older soul kind of a thing. Probably have quite a bit of scars and stories to tell. But overall, I think this is a really powerful, very cool placement. It's probably going to take you some time to figure out how to balance those two aspects of yourself because they can be opposing, and there's a bit of tension that I'm sensing between those two placements. But when there's a square, it doesn't always mean it's a negative influence in your life. It's more like a challenge that maybe you can't ever fully overcome, but it's like the fire underneath your feet that makes you push harder and work harder and be a better person. So it's going to be this constant thorn in your side, but try to think of it as a positive thing ultimately, because that's kind of how this universe works. It's really ironic and frustrating, but sometimes the pain and the shortcomings that we have to deal with are really what makes us strong and find life beautiful. So I would encourage you to find that within this placement. Um, I hope that this gave some insight into this placement. Um, it seems like a pretty cool combination. If you guys have any more request videos, I can't do all of them, but if I read it and the timing is right and I feel connected to it, or it's, super interesting and I vibe with it at the time, don't take it personally if I don't. It's hard as a channel to always do all of it, but feel free to leave it in the comments, and if I resonate, I will totally make a video. I'm going to be coming back with the rest of the Mercuries pretty soon and finishing that out. And then probably moving on to the Jupiter placements at some point. So thank you guys for watching, and much love.